Hello. This is an open question for the RPG Brigade, and anybody who likes to throw in their 2 cents in as well, of course. I was going through a couple of videos, just looking at some of the old questions and debates and ideas that people had about role-playing games in general. And this idea dawned on me when noticing some people's complaints about different fantasy races mixing and interbreeding. Some people don't like it, some people love it. I've never really found people really addressing it in a biological sense. What I mean is, a race is a genetically divergent population within a species, within a similar species. So these usually, and they're different based off their hereditary conditions, environmental conditions, what have you. But they're the same species. They can still breed and produce fertile offspring. In a fantasy trope, you have this as well. You know, a human can breed with an elf, and you'll have half-elves. An orc can breed with a human, and they have half-orcs. So wouldn't it stand to logic and reason that a orc and an elf can produce offspring, just as any other? And I never really found this addressed, not that example in particular, but the idea as a whole addressed in really any fiction or fantasy or anybody's game that I ever encountered. The only game I did find that even remotely considered was this one here. It's Arcanum of Steamworks and Magical Obscura. Terrific computer game, by the way. Very fun. Made by the same people who made the original Fallout. Very, very cool game. But in it, and particularly in the manual, they have a very flavorful text, very well written manual about the lineages and history of the different races of the world of Arcanum, and how they all share a common ancestry. So from their evolutionary history, you could find that they all lead back to very similar humanoids, mostly stemming, as I understand, from the elves, since they're the oldest race, and then they diverging from them, or the dwarves came along, then humans came along, and then orcs and then ogres came at one point. I'm not quite sure how exactly it went. It's been a while since I read it, of course. But that's the first and only game I have ever found to address this notion. Now, I know some people don't like to have the mixed races and all that in their game, so I have to ask, do you then consider them a separate species, just from a different ancestry? Maybe the gods that created them just made them differently. You can, hey, it's magic. You know, you can, however you want to run magic in your game like that. Or maybe they have a more or kind of traditional. You know, this is just how their evolutionary path. All these humanoids came from a similar path, and thus they can breed, they can exchange. Or maybe you can have a magic reason for that. Whatever. God did it. So my open question is this: if you run a game, or have you been in a game where this was a factor, this was addressed either just for flavor, or it actually maybe had a serious plot consideration? Did you consider this maybe when making a game? And what are your thoughts on this as well? That's my question, and peace, everyone.